more technologically. Doesn't matter. We're we're launching out to absolutely nobody, which is not even remotely surprising right now, is it? Like, I think there's sports ball on. It's Friday night. Like, man, people have way, way more important things to do than this. Not me. I learned that last night. I got to check off a bucket list item. I got to see the legendary, my absolute favorite rapper, Chris Webby, perform live in person. It was amazing. It was fantastic. It was like almost like a private concert, but it was hollow and it was empty, and all the shit I thought I would feel is not what I felt. But it was hollow. And I kind of feel like that with everything these days, you know? It feels like everywhere in the world I look, it's all just empty distractions. It's all just temptations, and it's a hobby. It's not a purpose. And the more and more I keep coming back to that same reality with everything, the more and more I realize that none of it is going to fill the void that I have. Which is why this always sets me on fire when I open the Bible. And the things that used to get me excited, that get me hyped up, just feel flat, feel false. If I'm not doing this, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's become quite frustrating. But enough of my musings. That's not why y'all came here. We were on a mission with our homie Moses, the Israelites. Plagues on plagues on plagues on Egypt in the Passover. And the rules of the Passover and the why. So let's pick up where we left off. Chapter 14. Then the Lord gave these instructions to Moses. Order the Israelites to turn back and camp by Pi Hahireth between Migdol and the sea. Camp there along the shore, across from Baal Zephon. Then Pharaoh will think, the Israelites are confused. They are trapped in the wilderness. And once again I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will chase after you. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I have planned this in order to display my glory through Pharaoh and his whole army. After this, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So the Israelites camped there as they were told. When word reached the king of Egypt that the Israelites had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds. What have we done letting all those Israelite slaves get away? They asked. So Pharaoh harnessed his chariot and called up his troops. He took with him 600 of Egypt's best chariots. I don't know if that's a lot. It feels like it's an important number. Along with the rest of the chariots of Egypt. So if he brought like a bunch of other ones, like how many were the best? Like he took 600 out of what? Each with its commander. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, so he chased after the people of Israel, who had left with fists raised in defiance. The Egyptians chased after them with all the forces in Pharaoh's army, all his horses and chariots. So that 600 number must just be like, we got 600 good ones, and then the rest of this mess. And all the troops. The Egyptians caught up with the people of Israel as they were camped beside the shore of Pi Hahiroth across from Baal Zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and panicked when they saw the Egyptians overtaking them. They cried out to the Lord, and they said to Moses, "Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, 'Leave us alone. Let us be slaves to the Egyptian. It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness.' But Moses told the people, 'Don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just remain calm.'" Oh no! I hope you weren't talking to a woman. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving." "Pick up your staff and raise your hand over the sea. Divide the water so the Israelites can walk through the middle of the sea on dry ground. And I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they will charge in after the Israelites. My great glory will be displayed through Pharaoh and his troops, his chariots and his charioteers. When my glory is displayed through them, all Egypt will see my glory and know that I am the Lord. Then the angel of God who had been leading the people of Israel moved to the rear of the camp. The pillar of cloud also moved from the front and stood behind them. The cloud settled between the Egyptian and Israelite camps. As darkness fell, the cloud turned to fire, lighting up the night. But the Egyptians and Israelites did not approach each other all night. It's a great big pillar of fire in between there. I get it. Then Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the Lord opened up a path through the water with a strong east wind. The wind blew all that night, turning the seabed into dry land. So the people of Israel walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground with walls of water on each side. Then the Egyptians, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and charioteers, chased them into the middle of the sea. But just before dawn, the Lord looked down on the Egyptian army from the pillar of fire and cloud, and he threw their forces into total confusion. He twisted their chariot wheels, making their chariots difficult to drive. "Let's get out of here, away from these Israelites," the Egyptians shouted. "The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." When all the Israelites had reached the other side, the Lord said to Moses, "Raise your hand over the sea again. Then the waters will rush back and cover the Egyptians and their chariots and charioteers." So as the sun began to rise, Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the water rushed back into its usual place. The Egyptians tried to escape, but the Lord swept them into the sea. Then the waters returned and covered all the chariots and charioteers, the entire army of Pharaoh. Of all the Egyptians who had chased the Israelites into the sea, not a single one survived. God said to Noah after he flooded the earth, "Oh, that was some, that was pretty fucked up. I don't think I'll ever do that again." He still likes to drown people, though. At least he did. Be careful out there on the water. Especially, I mean, if you... look, the sea's been split open and they're walking right through the middle of it. Let's chase them in there. That's a fucking great idea. But the people of Israel had walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground, as the water stood up like a wall on both sides. That is how the Lord rescued Israel from the hand of the Egyptians that day. And the Israelites saw the bodies of the Egyptians washed up on the seashore. When the people of Israel saw the mighty power that the Lord had unleashed against the Egyptians, they were filled with awe before him. They put their faith in the Lord and in his servant Moses. Hi, Cat. Chapter 15. Then Moses and the people of Israel sang this song to the Lord, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm not going to sing because the translation doesn't work that great, but I will read this to you. I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. He has hurled both horse and rider into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has given me victory. This is my God, and I will praise him. My father's God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a warrior. Yahweh is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and army he has hurled into the sea. The finest of Pharaoh's officers are drowned in the Red Sea. The deep waters gushed over them. They sank to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Lord, is glorious in power. Your right hand, O Lord, smashes the enemy. In greatness of your majesty, you overthrow those who rise against you. You unleash your blazing fury. It consumes them like straw. At the blast of your breath, the waters piled up. The surging waters stood straight up like a wall. In the heart of the sea, the deep waters became hard. The enemy boasted, I will chase them and catch up with them. I will plunder them and consume them. I will flash my sword. My powerful hand will destroy them. But you blew with your breath, and the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you among the gods, O Lord, glorious in holiness, awesome in splendor, performing great wonders? You raised your right hand, and the earth swallowed our enemies. With your unfailing love, you led the people you have redeemed. In your might, you guide them to your sacred home. The peoples hear and tremble. Anguish grips those who live in Philistia. The leaders of Edom are terrified. The nobles of Moab tremble. All who live in Canaan melt away. Terror and dread fall upon them. The power of your arm makes them lifeless as stone. Until your people pass by, O Lord, until the people you purchased pass by. You bring them in and plant them on your own mountain, the place, O Lord, reserved for your own dwelling, the sanctuary, O Lord, that your hands have established. The Lord will reign forever and ever. When Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and charioteers rushed into the sea, the Lord brought the water crashing down on them. But the people of Israel had walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground. Then Miriam the prophet, Aaron's sister, took a tambourine and led all the women as they played their tambourines and danced. And Miriam sang this song, Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. He has hurled both horse and rider into the sea. Then Moses led the people of Israel away from the Red Sea, and they moved out into the desert of Shur. They traveled in this desert for 3 days without finding any water. When they came to the oasis of Marah, the water was too bitter to drink. So they called the place Marah, which means bitter. That's redundant. Then the people complained and turned against Moses. What are we going to drink? They demanded. So Moses cried out to the Lord for help, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. Moses threw it into the water, and this made the water good to drink. It's a piece of wood. It doesn't fix brackish water. But the people are really stupid. It was there at Marah that the Lord set before them the following decree as a standard to test their faithfulness to him. He said, "If you will listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God and do what is right in his sight, obeying his commands and keeping all his decrees, then I will not make you suffer any of the diseases I sent on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." Yep. After leaving Marah, the Israelites traveled on to the oasis of Elim, where they found 12 springs and 70 palm trees. They camped there beside the water. Hi, Cat. It's a pretty slow night. I think everybody's doing their own thing. 16. Then the whole community of Israel set out from Elim and journeyed into the wilderness of Sin. Ugh, that doesn't sound great. Between Elim and Mount Sinai, they arrived there on the 15th day of the second month, 1 month after leaving the land of Egypt. There, too, the whole community of Israel complained about Moses and Aaron. These guys are a complainy bunch. If only the Lord had killed us back in Egypt, they moaned. There we sat around pots filled with meat and ate all the bread we wanted. But now you have brought us into this wilderness to starve us all to death. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Look, I'm going to rain down food from heaven for you. Each day the people can go out and pick up as much food as they need for that day. I will test them in this to see whether or not they will follow my instructions. On the 6th day they will gather food, and when they prepare it, there will be twice as much as usual. So Moses and Aaron said to all the people of Israel, by evening you will realize it was the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt. In the morning you will see the glory of the Lord because he has heard your complaints, which are against him, not against us. Thanks, Paul. What have we done that you should complain about us? Then Moses added, the Lord will give you meat to eat in the evening and bread to satisfy you in the morning, for he has heard all your complaints against him. What have we done? Yes, your complaints are against the Lord, not against us. Then Moses said to Aaron, announce this to the entire community of Israel. Present yourselves before the Lord, for he has heard your complaining. And as Aaron spoke to the whole community of Israel, they looked out toward the wilderness. There they could see the awesome glory of the Lord in the cloud. Then the Lord said to Moses, I have heard the Israelites' complaints. Now tell them, in the evening you will have meat to eat, and in the morning you will have all the bread you want. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. That's what you would think, right? That evening vast numbers of quail flew in and covered the camp. And the next morning the area around the camp was wet with dew. When the dew evaporated, a flaky substance as fine as frost blanketed the ground. The Israelites were puzzled when they saw it. What is it? They asked each other. They had no idea what it was. And Moses told them, it is the food the Lord has given you to eat. These are the Lord's instructions. Each household should gather as much as it needs. Pick up 2 quarts for each person in your tent. So the people of Israel did as they were told. Some gathered a lot, some only a little, but when they measured it out, everyone had just enough. Those who gathered a lot had nothing left over, and those who gathered only a little had enough. Each family had just what it needed. It's kind of a common theme here. Then Moses told them, do not keep any of it until morning. But some of them didn't listen and kept some of it until morning. But by then it was full of maggots and had a terrible smell. Moses was very angry with them. You knew they weren't gonna listen, bro. Come on. These are the Israelites we're talking about here. God could come talk to them himself directly. They're gonna be like on board for like 5 minutes, and then they're gonna be right back to the complaining. They're a very complaining lot. After this, the people gathered the food morning by morning, each family according to its need. And as the sun became hot, the flakes they had not picked up melted and disappeared. On the sixth day, they gathered twice as much as usual, 4 quarts for each person instead of two. Then all the leaders of the community came and asked Moses for an explanation. Oh, come on, guys. He told them, "This is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow will be a day of complete rest, a holy Sabbath day set apart for the Lord. So bake or boil as much as you want today, and set aside what is left for tomorrow." So they put some aside until morning, just as Moses had commanded, and in the morning the leftover food was wholesome and good, without maggots or odor. It's very special stuff here. Moses said, "Eat this food today, for today is a Sabbath day dedicated to the Lord. There will be no food on the ground today. You may gather the food for 6 days, but the seventh day is the Sabbath. There will be no food on the ground that day." Some of the people went out anyway on the seventh day, but they found no food. Are you getting it yet, folks? The Lord asked Moses, "How long will these people refuse to obey my commands and instructions? They must realize that the Sabbath is the Lord's gift to them. That is why he gives you a 2-day supply on the sixth day. So there will be enough for 2 days. On the Sabbath day you must each stay in your place. Do not go out to pick up food on the seventh day." So the people did not gather any food on the seventh day because there wasn't any. The Israelites called the food manna. It was white like coriander seed, and it tasted like honey wafers. I can imagine this stuff being like the ultimate biscuit. Then Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Fill a 2-quart container with manna to preserve it for your descendants. Then later generations will be able to see the food I gave you in the wilderness when I set you free from Egypt." Moses said to Aaron, "Get a jar and fill it with 2 quarts of manna. Then he put it in a sacred place before the Lord to preserve it for all future generations." Spoiler warning, don't go looking for a jar of manna in 2025. There's a lot of shysters out there. None of them have a jar of manna. Pretty sure about that. I haven't looked everywhere, but I don't think they did a very good job of preserving that. Aaron did just as the Lord had commanded Moses. He eventually placed it in the Ark of the Covenant. Oh, why. That's why we haven't found it. In front of the stone tablets inscribed with the terms of the covenant. So the people of Israel ate manna for 40 years until they arrived at the land where they would settle. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. 40 years. The container used to measure the manna was an omer, which was 1/10 of an ephah? Ephah? It held about 2 quarts. Chapter 17. At the Lord's command, the whole community of Israel left the wilderness of Sin and moved from place to place. Eventually, they camped at Rephidim, but there was no water there for the people to drink. So once more the people complained against Moses. "Give us water to drink," they demanded. "Quiet," Moses replied. "Why are you complaining against me? And why are you testing the Lord?" But, tormented by thirst, they continued to argue with Moses. "Why did you bring us out of Egypt? Are you trying to kill us, our children, and our livestock with thirst?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What should I do with these people? They are ready to stone me." uh, the Lord said to Moses, "Walk out in front of the people, take your staff, the one you used when you struck the water of the Nile, and call some of the elders of Israel to join you. I will stand before you on the rock at Mount Sinai. Strike the rock, and water will come gushing out. Then the people will be able to drink." So Moses struck the rock as he was told, and water gushed out as the elders looked on. Moses named the place Massah, which means test, and Meribah, which means arguing, because the people of Israel argued with Moses and tested the Lord by saying, "Is the Lord here with us or not?" The people of Israel, they do that. I feel like we all do that. I feel like I do that shit quite constantly. Evening, Castro. It's very disturbing, squab. uh, Ugh. While the people of Israel were still at Rephidim, the warriors of Amalek attacked them. Ugh. Moses commanded Joshua, "Come, choose some men to go out and fight the army of Amalek for us." Tomorrow I will stand at the top of the hill, holding the staff of God in my hand. So Joshua did what Moses had commanded and fought the army of Amalek. Meanwhile, Moses, Aaron, and Hur climbed to the top of a nearby hill. As long as Moses held up the staff in his hand, the Israelites had the advantage. But whenever he dropped his hand, the Amalekites gained the advantage. Moses' arms soon became so tired he could no longer hold them up, so Aaron and Hur found a stone for him to sit on. Then they stood on each side of Moses, holding up his hands. So his hands held steady until sunset, and as a result, Joshua overwhelmed the army of Amalek in battle. Never, ever, ever skip shoulder day. Gotta get them arms up. Gotta keep them arms up. Put up your hands. After the victory, the Lord instructed Moses, write this down on a scroll as a permanent reminder and read it aloud to Joshua. I will erase the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Moses built an altar there and named it Yahweh Nissi, which means the Lord is my banner. He said, they have raised their fist against the Lord's throne, so now the Lord will be at war with Amalek generation after generation. You know, sometimes it really guts me out that I can have the chronological family records in here 47 times. Son of, son of, son of. You get something like this, like epic battle, you are going to get a very brief, like, this is what happened, moving on. Back to the record keeping. Uh, that just kills me because the best stories are they're just encased in all the records of everything. 18. Moses' father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian, heard about everything God had done for Moses and his people, the Israelites. He heard especially about how the Lord had rescued them from Egypt. That was kind of a big deal, you know? Like, oh, did you know, like, he plagued Egypt with all this crap, killed all their firstborns, then threw Pharaoh and his whole army into the sea? Yeah, like, holy cow. I'd be terrified. Earlier, Moses had sent his wife Zipporah and his two sons back to Jethro, who had taken them in. Moses' first son was named Gershom, for Moses had said when the boy was born, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. His second son was named Eleazar, for Moses had said, the God of my ancestors was my helper. He rescued me from the sword of Pharaoh. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, now came to visit Moses in the wilderness. He brought Moses' wife and two sons with him. And they arrived while Moses and the people were camped near the mountain of God. Jethro had sent a message to Moses saying, I, Jethro, your father-in-law, am coming to see you with your wife and your 2 sons, but now I'm here, so I guess you can disregard that message. So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law. He bowed low and kissed him. They asked about each other's welfare. Oh my God, they had welfare even back then? For shame. And then went into Moses' tent. Moses told his father-in-law everything the Lord had done to Pharaoh and Egypt on behalf of Israel. He also told about all the hardships they had experienced along the way and how the Lord had rescued his people from all their troubles. Jethro was delighted when he heard about all the good things the Lord had done for Israel as he rescued them from the hand of the Egyptians. Praise the Lord, Jethro said, for he has rescued you from the Egyptians and from Pharaoh. Yes, he has rescued Israel from the powerful hand of Egypt. I know now that the Lord is greater than all other gods, because he rescued his people from the oppression of the proud Egyptians. Hey, Small. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, in case you forgot from like 5 seconds ago, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God. Aaron and all the elders of Israel came out and joined him in a sacrificial meal in God's presence. The next day, Moses took a seat to hear the people's disputes against each other. They waited before him from morning until evening. When Moses' father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he asked, what are you really accomplishing here? Why are you trying to do all this alone while everyone stands around you from morning till evening? And thus we get to like the first case of like delegation of authority. Moses replied, because the people come to me to get a ruling from God. When a dispute arises, they come to me, and I am the one who settles the case between the quarreling parties. I inform the people of God's decrees and give them his instructions. This is not good, Jethro exclaimed. You're going to wear yourself out, and the people too. This job is too heavy a burden for you to handle all by yourself. Now, listen to me and let me give you a word of advice. And may God be with you. You should continue to be the people's representative before God. Bringing their disputes to him, teach them God's decrees and give them his instructions, show them how to conduct their lives, but select from all the people some capable, honest men who fear God and hate bribes. Appoint them as leaders over groups of 1,150 and 10. I appoint Squabob, Mouse, and Cat. Yeah, and Castro. Yeah. Jacob, Squab, Cat, and Mouse. They should always be available to solve the people's common disputes, but have them bring the major cases to you. Let the leaders decide the smaller matters themselves. They will help you carry the load, making the task easier for you. If you follow this advice, and if God commands you to do so, then you will be able to endure the pressures, and all these people will go home in peace, rather than in pieces. Moses listened to his father in law's advice and followed his suggestions. He chose capable men from all over Israel and appointed them as leaders over the people. And thus, this is how the judges came to be. He put them in charge of groups of 1,150 and 10. These men were always available to solve the people's common disputes. They brought the major cases to Moses, but they took care of the petty matters themselves. Soon after this, Moses said goodbye to his father in law, who returned to his own land. Chapter 19. Exactly 2 months after the Israelites left Egypt, they arrived in the wilderness of Sinai. After breaking camp at Rephidim, they came to the wilderness and set up camp there at the base of Mount Sinai. Though Moses climbed the mountain to then, but, but Moses climbed the mountain to appear before God. Is this when they give him the plates? Never skip arm day. You got two big old plates to carry now. The Lord called to him from the mountain and said, "Give these instructions to the family of Jacob. Announce to the descendants of Israel, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians. You know how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, if you will obey me and keep my covenant, you will be my own special treasure from among all the peoples on earth. For all the earth belongs to me, and you will be my kingdom of priests, my holy nation. This is the message you must give to the people of Israel." So Moses returned from the mountain and called together the elders of the people and told them everything the Lord had commanded him, and all the people responded together, "We will do everything the Lord has commanded." So Moses brought the people's answer back to the Lord. What they left out is, we will do everything the Lord had commanded and complain our asses off. Because this shit is hard. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will come to you in a thick cloud, Moses, so the people themselves can hear me when I speak with you. Then they will always trust you. Well, I mean, you can't make it up if they can hear it every time God talks to you. Moses told the Lord what the people had said. Then the Lord told Moses, Go down and prepare the people for my arrival. Consecrate them today and tomorrow, and have them wash their clothing. Be sure they are ready on the third day, for on that day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai as all the people watch. Mark off a boundary all around the mountain. Warn the people. Be careful, do not go up on the mountain or even touch its boundaries. Anyone who touches the mountain will certainly be put to death. Don't touch the mountain. This is the modern day equivalent of America's boats. Don't touch the boats, don't touch the mountain. You're gonna fucking get it. No hand may touch the person or animal that crosses the boundary. Instead, stone them or shoot them with arrows. You can't even, like, beat them to death. Like, you gotta kill them right there where they are and don't touch them. They must be put to death. However, when the ram's horn sounds a long blast, then the people may go up on the mountain. So Moses went down to the people. He consecrated them for worship, and they washed their clothes. Gotta get clean. Dirty asses. He told them, Get ready for the third day, and then abstain from having sexual intercourse. Oh, no hanky-panky for you guys. You're going before God. Don't be a degenerate shit. On the morning of the third day, thunder roared and lightning flashed, and a dense cloud came down on the mountain. There was a long, loud blast from a ram's horn, and all the people trembled. Moses led them out from the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. All of Mount Sinai was covered with smoke because the Lord had descended on it in the form of fire. That makes a statement. That just makes a fucking statement. The smoke billowed into the sky like smoke from a brick kiln, and the whole mountain shook violently. As the blast of the ram's horn grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God thundered his reply. Draw this picture in your mind. The Lord came down on the top of Mount Sinai and called Moses to the top of the mountain. So Moses climbed that mountain. Then the Lord told Moses, "Go back down and warn the people not to break through the boundaries to see the Lord, or they will die." Even the priests who regularly come near to the Lord must purify themselves so that the Lord does not lash out and destroy them. He gets a little testy when he's on his mountain. But Lord, Moses protested, "The people cannot come up to Mount Sinai. You already warned us. You told me, mark off a boundary all around the mountain to set it apart as holy." And then, and then the Lord said, "What? Are you arguing with me? Bitch slap." And then you just see Moses flying off the mountain and into another, even larger mountain, far, far away. But the Lord said, "Go down and bring Aaron back up with you, because clearly you're an incompetent dolt. In the meantime, do not let the priests or the people break through to approach the Lord, or he will lash out and destroy them." So Moses went down to the people and told them what the Lord had said. It would have been way funnier if it had been like, I already put a boundary around the mountain. You just see him flying off the side of the mountain. It's like, bitch, did I say argue with me? No back talk. Now get back up the mountain. Unfortunately, things don't always go the way you hope they go. But you can still laugh at that image in your mind, as cartoonish as it is. Chapter 20. Actually, before we do any chapter 20, okay. Maybe not. Maybe not okay. Then God gave the people all these instructions. "I am the Lord your God who rescued you from the land of Egypt, the place of your slavery. You must not have any other God but me. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind or an image of anything in the heavens or on the earth or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God who will not tolerate your affection for any other gods. I lay the sins of the parents upon their children. The entire family is affected, even children in the third and fourth generations of those who reject me. But I lavish unfailing love for 1,000 generations on those who love me and obey my commands. You must not misuse the name of the Lord your God. The Lord will not let you go unpunished if you misuse his name. Remember to observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath day of rest dedicated to the Lord your God. On that day, no one in your household may do any work. This includes you, your sons and daughters, your male and female servants, your livestock, and any foreigners living among you. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and everything in them. But on the seventh day he rested. That is why the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart as holy. Honor your father and mother, then you will live a long, full life in the land your God is giving you. You must not murder. You must not commit adultery. You mustn't steal or testify falsely against your neighbor. You must not covet your neighbor's house. You must not covet your neighbor's wife, male or female servant, ox or donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. When the people heard the thunder and the loud blast of the ram's horn, and when they saw the flashes of lightning and the smoke billowing from the mountain, they stood at a distance, trembling with fear. And they said to Moses, "You speak to us, and we will listen, but don't let God speak directly to us, or we will die." "Don't be afraid," Moses answered them, "for God has nothing to say to you heathen shitweeds." Never mind, that's not what this says. I'm I'm projecting. "For God has come in this way to test you, and so that your fear of him will keep you from sinning." Doubt it. As the people stood in the distance, Moses approached the dark cloud where God was. And the Lord said to Moses, "Say this to the people of Israel: You saw for yourselves that I spoke to you from heaven. Remember, you must not make any idols of silver or gold to rival me. Build for me an altar made of earth, and offer your sacrifices to me, your burnt offerings and peace offerings, your sheep and goats and your cattle. Build my altar wherever I cause my name to be remembered, and I will come to you and bless you. If you use stones to build my altar, use only natural, uncut stones. Do not shape the stones with a tool, for that would make the altar unfit for holy use. And do not approach my altar by going up steps. If you do, someone might look up under your clothing and see your nakedness. Ah, keep it on the ground, people. 21. These are the regulations you must present to Israel. If you buy a Hebrew slave, he may serve for no more than 6 years. Set him free in the 7th year, and he will owe you nothing for his freedom. If he was single when he became your slave, he shall leave single. But if he was married before he became a slave, then his wife must be freed with him. If his master gave him a wife while he was a slave, and they had sons or daughters, then only the man will be free in the 7th year, but his wife and children will still belong to his master. But the slave may declare, I love my master, my wife, and my children. I don't want to go free. If he does this, his master must present him before God. Then his master must take him to the door or doorpost and publicly pierce his ear with an awl. After that, the slave will serve his master for life. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she will not be freed at the end of 6 years, as the men are. Just furthermore biblical evidence that women are not people, they're property. Cry harder. That's a joke. That's a joke. We don't do that no more. If she does not satisfy her owner, he must allow her to be bought back again, but he is not allowed to sell her to foreigners, since he is the one who broke the contract with her. But if the slave's owner arranges for her to marry his son, he may no longer treat her as a slave, but as a daughter. That seems reasonable. Super reasonable. If a man who has married a slave wife takes another wife for himself, he must not neglect the rights of the first wife to food, clothing, and sexual intimacy. If he fails in any of these 3 obligations, she may leave as a free woman without making any payment. I see a loophole here. I really do. Because there's a loophole here. Anyone who assaults and kills another person must be put to death. They're the death penalty. But if it was simply an accident permitted by God, I will appoint a place of refuge where the slayer can run for safety. However, if someone deliberately kills another person, then the slayer must be dragged even from my altar and be put to death, but not on the altar. Anyone who strikes father or mother must be put to death. That's harsh. Kidnappers must be put to death whether they are caught in possession of their victims or have already sold them as slaves. Anyone who dishonors father or mother must be put to death. Speaks disrespectfully of? Ugh. Now, suppose two men quarrel. I had always understood that term a little differently. Now, suppose two men quarrel and one hits the other with a stone or fist. I mean, that's a little different. And the injured person does not die, but is really pissed off, but is confined to bed. Oh shit, he's like a like a cripple. If he is later able to walk outside again, even with a crutch, the assailant will not be punished, but must compensate his victim for lost wages and provide for his full recovery. If a man beats his male or female slave with a club and the slave dies as a result, the owner must be punished. But if the slave recovers within a day or two, then the owner shall not be punished, since the slave is his property. So you can beat your slaves, just not to death. It's or to like you can't fucking just be out maiming your slaves. That's fuck. Don't be fucked up. That's. I don't think I have to write that one down for you. God, you guys are assholes. Now, suppose two men are fighting, and in the process, they accidentally strike a pregnant woman, so she gives birth prematurely. If no further injury results, the man who struck the woman must pay the amount of compensation the woman's husband demands and the judges approve. But if there is further injury, the punishment must match the injury. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise, life for life. If a man hits his male or female slave in the eye and the eye is blinded, he must let the slave go free to compensate for the eye. If a man knocks out the tooth of his female or male slave, he must let the slave go free to compensate for the tooth. If an ox gores a man or woman to death, ouch, what a terrible way to go. The ox must be stoned and its flesh may not be eaten. Oh God, what a waste on top of it. In such a case, however, the owner will not be held liable because it's an ox. But suppose the ox had a reputation for this type of shit, and the owner had been informed but failed to keep it under control. If the ox then kills someone, it must be stoned, and the owner must also be stoned with it. However, the dead person's relatives may accept payment to compensate for the loss of life. The owner of the ox may redeem his life by paying whatever is demanded. The same regulation applies if the ox gores a boy or a girl. But if the ox gores a slave, either male or female, the animal's owner must pay the slave's owner 30 silver coins, and the ox must be stoned. You're gonna have a lot of stoned oxes just running the fuck around. Suppose someone digs or uncovers a pit and falls in and fails to cover it, and then an ox or a donkey falls into it. The owner of the pit must pay full compensation to the owner of the animal, but then he gets to keep the dead animal. So not only Do you have to pay for this dead animal? You get to clean that shit up. Hooray! If someone's ox injures a neighbor's ox and the injured ox dies, then the two owners must sell the live ox and divide the price equally between them. They must also divide the dead ox. But if the ox had a reputation for goring, yet its owner failed to keep it under control, he must pay full comp. No deals. A live ox for the dead one, and you can keep the dead one. Also, I don't want your goring ass psycho ox. Give me a good one. The one you give me a live animal, not that one. Chapter 22. If someone steals an ox or sheep and then kills or sells it, the thief must pay back 5 oxen for each ox stolen and 4 sheep for each sheep stolen. Good God. If a thief is caught in the act of breaking into a house and is struck and killed in the process, the person who killed the thief is not guilty of murder. See, this is biblically protected the fucking right of self-defense. This is not even a constitutional thing. This is right here. God says it. But if it happens in daylight, the one who killed the thief is guilty of murder. Oh, shit. Well, a thief who is caught must pay in full for everything he stole. If he cannot pay, he must be sold as a slave to pay for his debt. If someone steals an ox or a donkey or a sheep and it is found in the thief's possession, then the thief must pay double the value of the stolen animal. If an animal is grazing in a field or vineyard, and the owner lets it stray into someone else's field to graze, then the animal must pay compensation from the best of his own grain or grapes. If you are burning thorn bushes and the fire gets out of control and you burn down half of California, shit happens. If you are burning thorn bushes and the fire gets out of control and spreads into another person's field, destroying the sheaves or the uncut grain or the whole crop, the one who started the fire must pay for the lost crop. Ooh, don't start wildfires in your neighbor's shit and burn down all their stuff. Suppose someone leaves money or goods with a neighbor for safekeeping, and they are stolen from the neighbor's house. If the thief is caught, the compensation is double the value of what was stolen. But if the thief is not caught, the neighbor must appear before God, who will determine if he stole the property. Suppose there is a dispute between what happens then? We're just gonna gloss over like maybe you told them to hold on to this and then they claimed it was stolen and we couldn't find no thief and we bring you before God. Like, what's God gonna do with you then? I must know. It doesn't say. Suppose there is a dispute between two people who both claim to own a particular ox, donkey, sheep, article of clothing, or any lost property. Both parties must come before God, and the person whom God declares guilty must pay double compensation to the other. This is very, very, very fortuitous for you that you never bought Darth, because that would that would have worked out very poorly. Now, suppose someone leaves a donkey, ox, sheep, or any other animal with a neighbor for safekeeping. Don't leave shit for safekeeping with your neighbors. You can't trust them. But it dies, or is injured, or is taken away, and no one sees what happened. The neighbor must then take an oath in the presence of the Lord. If the Lord confirms that the neighbor did not steal the property, the owner must accept the verdict and no payment will be required. But if the animal was indeed stolen, the guilty person must pay compensation to the owner. If it was torn to pieces by a wild animal, the remains of the carcass must be shown as evidence and no compensation will be required. If someone borrows an animal from a neighbor and it is injured or dies when the owner is absent, the person who borrowed it must pay full compensation. But if the owner was present, no compensation is required, and no compensation is required if the animal was rented, for this loss is covered by the rental fee. Better make sure you're charging that rental fee then. Give them the security deposit, and then they can have their money back when you return my live animal or my Airbnb. Anyone who sacrifices to any god other than the Lord must be destroyed. You must not mistreat or oppress foreigners in any way. No matter how weird I look, I'm one of you. Remember, you yourselves were once foreigners in the land of Egypt. You must not exploit a widow or an orphan. If you exploit them in any way and they cry out to me, then I will certainly hear their cry. My anger will blaze against you, and I will kill you with the sword. Then your wives will be widows, and your children fatherless. If you lend money to any of my people who are in need, do not charge interest as a money lender would. If you take your neighbor's cloak as security for a loan, you must return it before sunset. This coat may be the only blanket your neighbor has. How can a person sleep without it? If you do not return it and your neighbor cries out to me, I will hear, for I am merciful. You must not dishonor God or curse any of your rulers. You must not hold anything back when you give me offerings from your crops and your wine. And I still, to this day, going all the way back to Cain and Abel, believe this right here is what Cain did. He held back. That's where Cain fucked up. Then, murdered his brother, but Semantics, I mean, God was already upset with you before that. Why? You must give me your firstborn sons. It just says that shit so casually in here. You must also give me the firstborn sons of your cattle, sheep, and goats. Hold on, wait, back that one up. What? What was that? But leave the newborn animal with its mother for 7 days, then give it to me on the 8th day. You must be my holy people. Therefore, do not eat any animal that has been torn up and killed by wild animals. Throw it to the dogs. You must not pass along false rumors. You must not cooperate with evil people by lying on the witness stand. You must not follow the crowd in doing wrong. When you are called to testify in a dispute, hi Heidi, do not be swayed by the crowd to twist justice, and do not slant your testimony in favor of a person just because that person is poor. That goes triple if they're rich. If you come upon your enemy's ox or donkey that has strayed away, take it back to its owner. If you see that the donkey of someone who hates you has collapsed under its load, do not walk by. Instead, stop and help. In a lawsuit, you must not deny justice to the poor. Be sure never to charge anyone falsely with evil. Never sentence an innocent or blameless person to death, for I never declare a guilty person to be innocent. Take no bribes, for a bribe makes you ignore something that you clearly see. A bribe makes even a righteous person twist the truth. You must not oppress foreigners. You know what it's like to be a foreigner, for you yourselves were once foreigners in the land of Egypt. I'm looking at you, nation state of Israel, and your dear neighbors, the foreigners. Just saying. Just saying. Plant and harvest your crops for 6 years. But let the land be renewed and lie uncultivated during the 7th year. Then let the poor among you harvest whatever grows on its own. Leave the rest for wild animals to eat. The same applies to your vineyards and olive groves. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work. But on the 7th day you must stop working. This gives your ox and your donkey a chance to rest. It also allows your slaves and the foreigners living among you to be refreshed. Pay close attention to all my instructions. You must not call on the name of any other gods. Do not even speak their names. Each year, you must celebrate 3 festivals in my honor. First, celebrate the festival of unleavened bread. For 7 days, the bread you eat must be made without yeast, just as I commanded you. Celebrate this festival annually at the appointed time in early spring in the month of Abib, for that is the anniversary of your departure from Egypt. No one may appear before me without an offering. Second, celebrate the festival of harvest when you bring me the first crops of your harvest. Finally, celebrate the festival of final harvest at the end of the harvest season when you have harvested all the crops from your fields. At these 3 times each year, every man in Israel must appear before the sovereign, the Lord. You must not offer the blood of my sacrificial offerings together with any baked goods containing yeast, and do not leave the fat from the festival offerings until the next morning. As you harvest your crops, bring the very best of the first harvest to the house of the Lord your God. You must not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. That's the weirdest add-on at the end of this, and I always thought it was. Just like, you can cook a goat in some other goat's milk, but not its mother's milk. That's fucked up, man. Why you do that? See, I am sending an angel before you to protect you on your journey and lead you safely to the place I have prepared for you. Pay close attention to him and obey his instructions. Do not rebel against him, for he is my representative, and he will not forgive your rebellion. But if you are careful to obey him, following all my instructions, then I will be an enemy to your enemies, and I will oppose those who oppose you. For my angel will go before you and bring you into the land of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hivites, Jebusites, so you may live there. And I will destroy them completely. When was the last time you met a Jebusite? I mean, really. The Lord really does follow up on that. You must not worship the gods of these nations or serve them in any way or imitate their evil practices. Instead, you must utterly destroy them and smash their sacred pillars. You must serve only the Lord your God. If you do, I will bless you with food and water, and I will protect you from illness. There will be no miscarriages or infertility in your land, and I will give you long, full lives. I will send my terror ahead of you and create panic among all the people whose lands you invade. I will make all your enemies turn and run. I will send terror ahead of you to drive out the Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites, but I will not drive them out in a single year, because the land would become desolate and the wild animals would multiply and threaten you. I will drive them out a little at a time until your population has increased enough to take possession of the land. And I will fix your boundaries from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and from the eastern wilderness to the Euphrates River. I will hand over to you the people now living in the land, and you will drive them out ahead of you. Make no treaties with them or their gods. They must not live in your land, or they will cause you to sin against me. If you serve their gods, you will be caught in the trap of idolatry. That's a dangerous trap, too. Dang. One second. "24. Then the Lord instructed Moses, come up here to me and bring along Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 of Israel's elders. All of you must worship from a distance. Only Moses is allowed to come near to the Lord. The others must not come near, and none of the other people are allowed to climb up the mountain with him." Then Moses went down to the people and repeated all the instructions and regulations the Lord had given him. All the people answered with one voice, "We will do everything the Lord has commanded." Then Moses carefully wrote down all the Lord's instructions. Early the next morning, Moses got up and built an altar at the foot of the mountain. He also set up 12 pillars, one for each of the 12 tribes of Israel. Then he sent some of the young Israelite men to present burnt offerings and to sacrifice bulls as peace offerings to the Lord. Moses drained half the blood from these animals into basins. The other half he splattered against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it aloud to the people. Again they all responded, "We will do everything the Lord has commanded. We will obey." Spoiler warning. Then Moses took the blood from the basins and splattered it over the people, declaring, "Look, this blood confirms the covenant the Lord has made with you in giving you these instructions." Then Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel climbed up the mountain. There they saw the God of Israel. Under his feet there seemed to be a surface of brilliant blue lapis lazuli as clear as the sky itself. And though these nobles of Israel gazed upon God, he did not destroy them. In fact, they ate a covenant meal, eating and drinking in his presence. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain Stay there, and I will give you the tablets of stone on which I have inscribed the instructions and commands so you can teach the people. So Moses and his assistant Joshua set out, and Moses climbed up the mountain of God. Moses told the elders, "Stay here and wait for us until we come back. Aaron and Hur are here with you. If anyone has a dispute while I am gone, consult with them." Then Moses climbed up the mountain, and the cloud covered it. And the glory of the Lord settled down on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. On the seventh day, the Lord called to Moses from inside the cloud. To the Israelites at the foot of the mountain, the glory of the Lord appeared at the summit like a consuming fire. Then Moses disappeared into the cloud as he climbed higher up the mountain. He remained on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. And I'm not going to lie to you, we have not actually hit the 2 hour mark. However, this is like a wonderful place to leave off. We are going to get into a lot of regulations and decrees and records. And I think we can just get into all of that on Monday. That'll work. Thank you all who come week after week to share this adventure with me. Squab, Castro, Cat, Heidi, who else? Paul occasionally comes by. I don't think he ever stays for this. Small comes and goes, sometimes listens. I got a few lurkers. I wish you guys were a little more. I wish I knew who you were. Those lurkers who do stop in from time to time. Well, before I go, I just want to leave you guys with like one thought, because it's really been just like weighing on me. Like, distractions are all around you at all times. The enemy does not seek to knock the damned off their path. They're already going where he wants them to go. And the thing I've discovered, the more I lean to God, the more the darkness pulls at me. And the harder the struggle gets. But leaning back into the darkness is absolutely what the enemy wants from you. And it's completely antithetical to God's will for you. Like, and it's hard for me sometimes to remember that. So if you are one of the people who is wrecked, broken, and just being more and more destroyed during the rebuilding process, know that it only fucking sucks because you're on a path that the darkness doesn't want you on. So if everything feels like it's all the Matrix level bullshit, it's because it is. Turn your heart to where it's supposed to be. I love you all. See you back here Monday. Might see some of you this weekend. You know the drill. Although even that feels kind of empty and hollow lately. Who knows? Speaking of my dear friend Squabob, I don't know. Saturday morning, Swab, you, Div, haven't been around, so maybe go check them out on Divinity Sid's channel. They do a Bible study. It's very different than my Bible experience. They actually talking about different things and concepts and ideas. They're an adorably odd couple. But yeah, if not, see you back here Monday. We'll pick up chapter 25. Till then, God bless you, keep you, and may everything His will desires come true in your life. To my YouTube friends, this is where I leave you. To my Rumble friends, I'm gonna find somewhere to raid out, I think. Everyone else, adios.